Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Laura Crapo. I'm wearing some fake Chanel right now. um, so I'm gonna do a reading on New York City, and like I noticed, well, like whatever, I'm like living in rural Quebec right now, so I'm pretty far from New York, like a whatever 7-hour drive, and so I noticed there's like a new mayoral race, and I didn't want to like get all like naming names and this and that, but I did want to like look at what, like, trying to focus on like what would be positive for New York moving forward in general. I mean, I'm sure people who actually live there have like, ideas about that, but I'm just gonna work off my intuition. Also, like, what kind of brought me to want to do this reading was like I watched a speech by the gentleman who won the primary election, and he meant, or like, did he say it, or did I read anyway, it was something about like city owned grocery stores, and I was like, oh. Soylent Green, like what? And yeah, so like the whole notion of like monopoly on something, anything, it kind of like, it's like ding ding ding, let's have a look at that. So yeah, so that's why I wanted to do this reading, and I'm just gonna tread lightly on names, because internet doesn't like when you call certain people out. So, and in general, like, I just want this to be an optimistic reading. New York City's a cool place. Like, I like visiting there. I like going to play shows there and stuff, like I've done here and there throughout my long life, like sparsely. And but it's a place where, maybe because I was like raised in Canada despite being American by birth, there's just some, so, I don't know if it has like a masculine energy. You know how like certain cities, when you cross over to Brooklyn, it just feels obviously different, and Brooklyn feels more like a more crowded, like, less mountainous, like Montreal kind of vibe, and then Manhattan's its own thing, which at times can feel very like old-timey and garden-like, or and at other times just like a canyon of terrifying, like, uh, coldness or whatever. So depending on where you are, like you can have a completely different experience just within Manhattan. Um, so it's not like, I've never been like, I want to live there, but like I understand that my career would have been a lot more successful, because like you can basically, I've said to people like, give me 20 minutes in Manhattan and I'll like have a band together. But like in Montreal, it's like 20 years, like good luck. Anyway, so things move slower up north, and anyway, so I'm just gonna have a peek at New York City. Okay, what positive? I feel like, is there like some sort of political office space that is in, like, not on Manhattan, but like right across the water, that is important in some way? I feel like there's a lot of like good vibes coming, like uh, like a mental kinda avenue, like a bridge or something, like going from there into Manhattan and forming things. If I could think I think it's Brooklyn. I think it's hard for me to figure out, like, what's north and south and east and west there, like, um, but I'm gonna say I'm thinking of Brooklyn because I feel like if I'm standing near the UN building and looking over there across the water, I I think that's Brooklyn. Anyway, yeah, I'm pretty sure because like, New Jersey's on the other side. Okay. So that's what I'm looking at. So, like, okay, is there an office in Brooklyn that runs the government in New York City? Focusing on that. Like, you know how like, you know how New York has a history of some like organized crime kind of stuff? Like, is Manhattan kind of locked down with that? Like, is it kind of like um unofficially owned or run by, like, people not voted into office is I'm getting kind of like this feeling like like it's like a kingdom. I'm getting that kind of vibe. Perhaps why that's why the new guy is, like, saying, "We're gonna come in and make all these changes so that, like, the government is controlling, like, the subway or, like, there's because maybe right now, like, the transit authority could be like a separate company or something that and therefore it can be things can be like willy-nilly, like unpredictable. Um, I don't know. I'm just telling you what I pick up. Like, um, and there's something about like kind of the Wall Streetish area. I feel like there's two places where uh politicians have like input, and it's Wall Street and kind of like Midtown on the East Side. It's not a lot of coverage. Okay. This is coming from someone like, this is just for entertainment purposes only, like, raised in Canada, not like I spent maybe 6 years in the States total, uh, going to school and stuff, but, so, like, just remember this is for entertainment purposes only, right? Um, 'Kay. I'm trying to think, like, what is positive advice for New York City right now? Again, I'm getting this, like, off island, like, influence like, influencer in the not Instagram usage. Um, Influential person who I feel like is, like, a happy, uh, like a is it a politician or just, like, a person? I'm not getting, like, a real businessy government office kind of vibe from this person, so I'm gonna say it's, like, an influential New Yorker who possibly either lives, like, right on the water on the east side or lives right across the water. Um, let's say sure, there's, like, people voted in and out, whatever, like, the clock dials, like, spin for like, that kinda, like, clocking in, clocking out, whatever, there's sure, there's somebody in office, but I feel like there's people who are kind of, um real New Yorkers who are, like, passionate about the city, who voice their opinions on how they want things to be, and, like, what I would say is don't just, give all your power over to just, like, one person who may not even share your vision of the city. It's okay to have multiple voices, and so it's important to, even though there's someone right now on the news a lot, like, that doesn't stop you from also using your own platform if you're someone influential and, like, happy and who loves New York and, like, wants to kind of be, like, unofficially mayoral, kinda, like, leadership role, as we all should, be in our communities, like, take an interest, take part. So, um and don't feel like you're stepping on their toes by, like, also having sort of a press conference or, like, some public speech giving or, uh, conversation that's taped what however people do stuff these days. I feel like it's super important for this person to be, like, not it's kinda like if you bring it back down to high school and, like, the student government's like, "Well, I'm in charge," like, but then there's, like, a cool person in your class who's just, like, leaning on the back legs of their chair just going like, "Why don't we do this?" Or so we need that person who's very influential organically. That's my dog, Dr. Disco, whose say is almost, like, more influential and, like, in a good way because, like, enough time has passed in, like, the lifespan of New York City, uh, to know, like, what's cool and what isn't cool in terms of, like, building style, like, subway services, like, size of restaurants, like, how like like okay, like, my dad moved to France when I was a teenager, so I've been over to Paris, like, a lot over since the '80s, and something I've noticed is, like, Monoprix, this kinda like the Walmart of, like, Paris, like, like, undercut all the mom and pop, like, dépanneurs, like, convenience stores, um, and so, like, there's not just, like, this bored grandpa with a tiny little vegetable stand anymore. It's like you gotta walk 2 more blocks to get to the Monoprix where everybody is mad that they're working there, and it's just like you gotta, like, walk through a giant room of, like, kind of boring clothes to get to the grocery area. Like, it's just not the same vibe, and it doesn't give, like, community spirit, and it's not so I don't know if the new mayor is sort of suggesting a kind of monofleet type of, like, model where it's like, "Here's our discounted groceries, like, aren't you so happy?" And it's like, "Well, no, because now we're missing out on the culture." Like, it would almost be better to have, like, 6-foot, like, mini stalls selling, like, a variety of stuff and having, like, a natural, uh, evolution of pricing, but they're competing with each other kind of thing. Um, where it's not just, like, going into one person's pockets who owns, like, who runs all the government stores or whatever, and then, it gives an opportunity for people to have, like, a more organic kind of business style, because not everybody can start, like, renting a store space, especially in Manhattan, but, like, renting a once a week 6-foot little stall, uh, might be affordable or, that kind of thing, whatever. So, I'm just saying, like, that kind of stuff is ruining Paris and, like, LMVH buying up, Champs-Élysées and making, like, a giant Louis Vuitton, like, why? Like, Disneyland, there's a train for that, like, you get your Disneyland ass out of here. Like, what? Like, it's just wrong. And even like Louis Vuitton like started out as just like a guy solving a problem of like, hey, don't make your trunks like round on the top. Let's make some square ones and lighter. And like it was like a small business. And so like that's what uh I'm feeling like it would be better. Like let's say this influential cool person in the classroom is like, you know, where do we like to congregate? Like, Union Square or like places where they have little stalls and it's like let that be the norm instead of let's have more of those um rather than fewer and like because imagine New York if it was like just the government grocery store and like the sort of ghostly dusty bags rolling in the street of just like where's the like where I guess it's very like dystopian like and like New York's history is like all everybody coming from all corners of the world just taking part in this like very unique sharing and exchange on this very tiny piece of real estate. So it's an important time not to like get outraged and whatever. Like I feel like it's a really happy, joyful, celebratory kind of like, hey, don't we love this? And it's like let's make and it's like no one's like I hate you or you're wrong. Like it's like let's celebrate this. Like it's very subtle. Like oh, let's have like biweekly markets on some street that's like closed off to pedestrians like twice a month like in Paris like they have market stalls like twice like Wednesday and Saturday or something like that and super early in the morning then all of a sudden at 2 p.m. it's like getting all shut down. It's like you missed it so like that kind of thing where each neighborhood has an opportunity twice a week to like get farm fresh stuff and so just like more of that and then like also maybe to make sorry about my dog include in that like just stalls like there's this street is it called Beaumarchais like in Paris where on Saturday or Sunday or something there's like an antique garage sale and like that kind of stuff just once a week, boom, like, and then it's for a few hours and then it's gone, whatever. But like that kind of the more organic opportunities for someone to start small. Um, as opposed to like, oh, aren't we so glad that our government is like fixing the prices on, on Manhattan? Like, I don't know. Like I remember going to CBGBs and stuff. Um, and like and then like they shut it down because it was like too noisy or whatever. It's just like that kind of stuff really chips away at the vibe and like when I go now as opposed to like when I saw New York in like the 80s and 90s it's like a completely different city. So like instead of continuing down that road of uh simplifying New York, like it should be more complex and fractal rather than like I'm not sure why he's barking so much, but if I let him in, it'll be like that much louder. I'll just say hi for a second. Wait. Francisco, you want to come sit on my lap? Okay. You just want to bark at the towel that's drying and stuff? Okay. He just doesn't like seeing like different stuff and I have a towel drying on the porch. looks like a ghost, like a sheep or something. Hey. All All right. So, all right. Optimistic New York choices. I feel like too, like instead of sending an angry letter to a politician, I feel it's like a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. I feel like, like I feel like that's the better way to be like, hey, I love such and such that you did. It'd be why don't we do this also? Like you're working with them, like they're voted in, like work with them for the time being. And then maybe they'll say like, well, I'll let you run that. You know what I mean? And then you got your wish or whatever. Um okay, I'm just gonna try to still focus despite the barking. Okay. New York City. Positive New York City. Yeah, and I feel like I'm picking up on like, that west side park that goes like the whole length. I feel like some of this activity could be happening there because it does kind of like instead of maybe blocking off some streets, there's that whole like park area, or like the bike path and where like we could have these kind of market type things there, or like these little stalls and stuff. Or like I don't know how much they're using like all those docks and uh they can like build out a bit and make a kind of like like in Venice, like the big bridge. Um what's it called? Like, whatever. The bridge that used to have like houses and stores on it that over the Grand Canal. That kind of thing where like sort of like a boardwalk pier kind of thing even beyond what's already there, uh, that would house these stalls that are accessible from the bike path. Like micro stores. Maybe it could, maybe there could be like instead of just having like a fair, like how they have those like art fairs and stuff, it could be like a permanent thing where it's like on purpose, like micro store. Like I don't know how like like if 6 foot wide seems like appropriate to have like shelves and to be able to like walk like sit inside it. Like when I went to visit the Philippines to see June Labo, the psychic surgeon. Like it's in this mountain town, and the market there was just like that, just like these tiny stalls, and like literally anything you needed to do or find was like in this kind of warehouse space full of stalls. And it was great. And so maybe there's already something like that, but I'm feeling there should be like even more. And then the way to ask for that would be like to make it fun and to like dig deep and find something you like about what some politician did. Congratulate them for it, and then open the door to like, hey, why don't we work on this that would also be great for you, you know. Why is my dog so mad? Okay. I'll just try to think of a couple more things since he's objecting so, so much. Okay, New York City, something helpful. Like, I feel like there's a lot of people obviously suffering right now in New York, and Um, just trying to think like because it's a very small island, there might be like a space in Brooklyn, where like some like smaller unit housing, like temporary housing, but that's like proper, um, could be built in to house people in like need, and because sometimes like even just having like a place to like keep your belongings and like have a bed and like have a place to wash and just something like that, like where you're not forced out, and that it could be something kind of visionary where it's like a lot like well designed. Like I'm thinking of like the original idea for Habitat was kind of like teepee shaped and like bigger than how they actually made it, and it had like sort of park and like stuff underneath, so it could be like instead of like an upright tall building, it could be like um kind of like the original drawing for Habitat, where it's um kind of like public housing, but it's also like beautiful and nice and has access to nature and like stuff like that. So maybe if someone into architecture wants to look at that up, there's like a good YouTube video of the Safdie talking about that, and that I think he was saying like he has an opportunity to make the real building he had in mind, um, somewhere. Okay, so it's just like an idea of a type of building like that that would be easy to make, but like a great design. He's literally quiet like all day until I get on the computer. I don't know why. Okay. Maybe because I'm talking. Anyway, so okay. Right. So there's that. And then let's say people like get on that project like ASAP and find some kind of like area of land that isn't already used up, that could be built on like quickly. And I mean, because like New York has a history of like cement buildings since, like Habitat was made out of cement or concrete or whatever. Okay, and I just feel like the energy that'll work to transform the city properly in a humane way, in a way that embraces like natural expansion and like natural like harmony, would be to like how like the Fibonacci sequence or the whatever, the golden ratio or whatever, like, like where it's like 1, 1, 2, 4, 8, 13, whatever, and or whatever the numbers are. And anyway, so like we have to have those like 1, 1 size like stalls and like living accommodation all in the mix with the bigger ones and whatever, like, but you have to make space for that small uh thing to start, and I feel like the only way to get it across to the politicians in a way that will actually work, that won't be painful, is to approach it with like your heart space, like optimism, joy, like, because like to have something solved or done correctly does bring you joy. So if you're embodying that vibe of, like, feeling that project completed and how much joy it would bring, and then when you're delivering the message, it's like they understand the whole package, like, information, emotion, like, the like, it's contagious rather than, like, someone throwing their barriers up because they feel attacked. Because like, I shouldn't slouch and put my shoulders. I'm, like, looking like Shrek when I do that. Anyway, so, uh, that's what so that's my bottom line is, like, be optimistic, uh, when you wanna present an idea and, like, you know, the people who are voted in are voted in, and it's like, we gotta work with whoever is elected right now, so that kinda thing. So that's my reading on New York City. Sorry about the marketing. Um, and if you guys have an idea for another reading. Oh, I wasn't looking. Oh, wait, someone said something. Hey, thanks for watching, Maria. Um, so I hope you enjoyed this reading. Take care and talk to you guys soon. Bye.